Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. Happy March, everyone. Hope you're all having an amazing day. New month, new energies. I'm sending you all lots of love. In today's video, I have a couple key dates that I've decoded to prepare us for this new month of March and what to expect over the next couple weeks in the crypto market. And we'll definitely be reviewing the monthly close for February in the charts, sharing the technical analysis setup for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and even some quick thoughts on the traditional markets as we're seeing lots of volatility in the Dow Jones and major indices. And also, just a reminder, the new month has started on Patreon. If you've been waiting to join, I appreciate your support. You can sign up today by visiting patreon.com/watersabove to join the Mastermind community membership and get instant access to my weekly Red Pill podcasts. That's my technical analysis podcast to wrap up the week and for me to review the altcoins that our community votes on. The most recent Red Pill podcast that I did was actually episode 100. And for the first time ever, I live streamed the Red Pill podcast and had the chat open while I was streaming. I took some time sharing as much technical analysis wisdom as I could fit into the hour-and-a-half podcast, so it was a very special episode. I had a blast doing it and look forward to live streaming another Red Pill podcast in the future. And also, by becoming a Patreon supporter, you'll get access to our Discord server for our community group chat, so you can come hang out with the Wolf Pack, and you'll also unlock the biggest discounts available on my courses. The Patreon link can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. Make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. So we're going to kick this off with some dates, and I have a lot to get into today, so let's get rolling. So just to talk about some current dates that we're about to embrace, we have 3/3, March 3rd, the 33 date, and that is special this year because it is leaving 303 days in the year. So you have two 33s, 33 in the date, as well as days left in the year. And I just want to skip over to the upcoming full moon, which is going to be March 7th, and we have a couple things to talk about with that. So with March 7th, we have 44 days until the upcoming solar eclipse that I've been talking about with you guys for a long time now. And this also being the 66th day of the year. So two important power numbers. We got that 44 as well as that 66. And speaking of the number 44, we have this upcoming Ides of March, which is going to be on the 15th. And just to quickly show you what this is all about, you could see Ides of March, the alleged assassination of Julius Caesar, which was in 44 BC. So just a quick 44 connection for you guys. And of course, Julius Caesar was the Roman Empire leader at the time. So I could just quickly show you Roman Empire, giving you that 44 in Chaldean. Definitely important. And also note how Ides of March is on the 74th day of the year. You could see that right here is the 74th day in the Roman calendar. And just a couple of 74 connections for you guys. We can tie this to another popular Roman myth with the number 74, and that would be Jesus with your 74 as well as Lucy with your 74. Again, two sides of the same coin, a tough, clear pill to swallow, but the truth sucks. The truth sets you free. So according to the myth, Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times during this event, the assassination of Julius Caesar, which is the Ides of March, on the 74th day of the year, being in the 44th year BC. And right there, you can see it was 23. And that is a very important number because that's the 9th prime number. 9 is the number of everything. Could be considered a completion number in some perspectives, but that 23 is very key this year. So let's get into my decode with this whole thing. He was stabbed 23 times coming into this very important date, this ritual date, and that 23 is showing up in the Hebrew year that we're in, the 5783. It's the current Hebrew year, giving you 23. the year that I'm calling the Jubilee giving you 23. And this is a very wild connection to Bitcoin. Of course, we have Bitcoin giving you 23 in the same cipher. And the connection here is because Julius Caesar died at 55 years old. You could see that right there, at 55. And that ties us back perfectly into Satoshi Nakamoto, giving you that 55 in multiple ciphers. And Julius Caesar ruled for 36 years, and you got that 36 as well in Bitcoin. His nickname was Caligula. Let me make sure I got the spelling correctly. Caligula giving you the 21 in Chaldean. Of course, that tying back to Saturn with 21 in Chaldean. Satoshi is Saturn. And this is all a setup for the astrological story about how we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And you could see Aquarius giving you the same 21. And this is ruled by Saturn, as I showed you moments ago, giving you that 21. And how blockchain technology and all so-called advanced technologies in general will be what pushes us into the age of Aquarius. It is not only what the apex predator has to do, because they're more enslaved than you are. They follow a script. But it's also what the majority of people will desire anyways. Remember, convenience is everything to the collective, and convenience is everything in this transition. The transition that I speak of is moving from the age of Pisces into Aquarius. So lastly, Ides of March being that 74th day, well, naturally the day before that, the 14th, which could be considered the Pi Day, 314. Of course, there's multiple interpretations of this. There's other days during the year that could have that 314 connection, but just we're looking at the exoteric right now, and you have that 314 being the 73rd day of the year. And speaking of Saturn, well, we have that 73, which is the 21st prime number. Just like I was showing you before, Caligula equals 21, Saturn equals 21. This is all tied to Saturn through Satoshi Nakamoto. Remember, there's 21 million Bitcoin in supply. That's not coincidence. That's been coded. But let me show you how important this particular day is, because it perfectly ties us to this solar eclipse. Now, think about this. We have 37 days between this day and the solar eclipse, and this is the 73rd day. That is 73. The mirror is 37, as above, so below. And what's mathematically amazing about this is 73 is the 21st prime number, while 37 is the 12th prime number. 21, 12, the mirror, as above, so below. Very, very interesting date, and this being on a Tuesday, or Martes, day of Mars. And let me just show you a couple more connections. You have Mars giving you that 15 in full reduction, and you can see the standard date numerology on this day is giving you a 15. So we have another connection. This will also be on the third quarter moon, and we've been talking a lot about these first and third quarter moons as being our really accurate microcycle lows, and it's just been working out incredibly since the last eclipse that we had, which was in early November. You guys probably remember that, which was the FTX ritual, the FTT crash, and that was all a lunar eclipse ritual. And now we're moving into the next eclipse, which is on April 20th, and that's why I'm taking it so seriously. Because us giving so much attention to the prior eclipses was a game changer in being able to decode and identify big moves or pivots in the market. Remember, the last eclipse we had was the FTX crash, and then before that, the prior eclipse was when Terra Luna pretty much went to zero. That was on a lunar eclipse. Terra Luna crashed on a lunar eclipse. It's all code. It's all ran by astrology. So this is why you got to pay attention to this stuff. And when I'm seeing the March 14th date on this third quarter moon, followed by everything else that I just told you, it's telling me that March 14th and 15th, which is the Ides of March, to be a very interesting, especially regarding price action for the market. And I would not even be surprised if we had a ritual, some sort of psyop happen on March 15th this year. Just a couple weeks from today, on the 11th week of the year. So let me show you that to give you another important number. Well, March 14th and 15th is during the 11th week in the Gregorian system, 11 being your master number. And this number for me, it's kind of a number that is associated with energy or the change in direction of energy, particularly a restart of energy. So I'll quickly say that again. 11, a master number that I associate with a restart regarding energy or the change of direction in energy, power, or influence. So consider this, that number 11 has that specific kind of energy tied to it, especially when you're looking at markets. And we're moving into that 11th week very soon. So a couple more things to mention about Satoshi. We know that the 48th birthday is going to be on the 5th, and look at that. From this date of March 14th that we keep talking about to Satoshi's next birthday is exactly 22 days. That is incredible because that is your second master number, and that is the number of resets, not restarts, a reset. It's the master builder, the master destroyer. In order to create, you need to destroy, etc. Energy is all in balance. Energy is all in equilibrium. So what seems like it's being built, well, somewhere else in the realm, something is being torn down. That is just how it works. That is why the Twin Towers ritual was so special and what was the leading point or the pivot into what we are now in the transition time of the age of Aquarius. You could consider the 9/11 to C19 PSYOP the transition into Aquarius. It's all air rituals. Think of this. And I probably shouldn't be getting so deep in this YouTube video, but I just want to share the idea here behind Aquarius being an air sign, and the 9/11 ritual was two planes crashing into two towers. The planes fly in the air, and then C19 was all about a virus spread through the air. Think about it. It is showing you through the exoteric, and you could decode it to get the esoteric. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is everything to do with blockchain technology. So before we get into the technical analysis, go ahead, give this video a like if you haven't already. Spread some love in the comment section. That's what we're all about here. Let's get into some TA. So I just want to quickly look at, actually, let me look at the Dow. Let me look at some of these indices, and then I'll move into Bitcoin. So here we are looking at the Dow Jones chart. And if you quickly identify this downtrend, which was a resistance, it had a touch point going back to January 2022. Here we are in March 2023. So this top was about a year ago. And you can see that we got 1, 2, 3 key rejections, and then leading through the end of the Shemitah into the start of the Jubilee year, we went through this prior resistance and it actually broke. It even broke into a new high in the structure, which was above the prior structural high back in August of 2022. Now, with this back test that we got here into the end of 2022, we are maintaining higher lows. And thus far, we're actually in the process of maybe double bottoming on this test of December 2022. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit further and show you what's going on. We do have this potential triangle pattern. I should probably shorten it because this is a smaller time frame amongst a much bigger chart. But let me just show you with a measured move. I'm going to do that by going into a linear scale, and I'm just going to measure from top to bottom. Again, I don't really care to do stuff like this too much. I'm just giving, those that are beginners at TA some of the tools. So measured move is bringing you pretty much back to the outside of this prior resistance, which was back tested as a confirmed support in December 2019. The only issue with this is we never went onto a new high after this back test. So what that means is we did have a break on this time versus this, but with this back test, we're now planting lower highs off of that break into a new structural high. In the macro, it's looking amazing. In the micro, we're at a tipping point where if we start to close daily candles lower than these 32,400 area, we're probably going to have this outline, this trend line back tested. And if that can't hold, then we have to kind of reassess. So let me show you what could be possible. I'm just going to pull a fib from swing high to swing low. I'm going to get back in log. I should actually make sure that this is in a log setting really quickly. Yes, it is. And this is at the 0.5 fib. So if you look from this swing high to swing low, we got into the golden pocket. That's not good for continuation as a theory here from a technical analysis perspective. This is pretty much what I would call a automatic rally in Wyckoff method. I teach this quite often. Now, if we start to break below the 0.5 fib, we're looking at the 382, and then the 236 would be your ultimate level to hold. Now, we can have this all happen whilst crypto is actually continuing up, because the crypto cycle is 3 to 4 years, while the stock market cycle is 7. Just consider that, guys. So we are at a stage right now where crypto is not necessarily as in lockstep with the indices as it would be on a non-Shemitah or non-Jubilee year. Now, I would love to see this get back tested and bounce, because if we do get a bounce at the 0.5 fib and start making our way up to the 618, that would be definitely a sign to expect continuation up for the crypto market. But holding these levels and holding this overall chart as we're seeing it right now in a more macro perspective, it's perfectly normal price action. Now, I'm going to quickly look at the S&P and show you something else I'm seeing. So we have the same trend line on the outside. It was a prior resistance, and this would be our first attempt at maybe back testing it and seeing if we get a bounce, and that is at the 382. So the S&P is a little healthier than the Dow. The Dow was very exaggerated in its automatic rally buyback. We might actually be seeing a little bit of a bounce at this 382 area, which has confluence on the outside of this prior support line. And then if we start to break 4,200, that would be a move into the golden pocket, and I would expect it to stop there. Now, I don't see this lasting much longer than probably June. After that, I'm expecting as we move into September, October, November, all of these indices, including crypto, to be breaking their 236 on any macro fib pull and heading back down into their lows, the macro lows, which you can just identify on any chart, pretty much bringing you back to like this 3,500 area on the S&P. Same story with the NASDAQ, okay? So my overall thesis is that there is an opportunity for us to move up over the next couple months, but by September, October of the end of this year, we should start seeing more lows and even break of lows. Because personally, I think the NASDAQ and the Dow have a lot more to give back. I think that we should be seeing, especially the Dow, getting into territory down here at around 27,000 points. Okay, we're up here at 32. And that could be coming to fruition by the next eclipses that happen in October. We have the October 14th eclipse, which is the one that I'm putting most of my emphasis on, as well as the one later in the month. It's just a partial lunar eclipse, but this is a big boy right there. Now, I've just given you guys a very long-term play, so I'm going to hold off on doing any TA on the indices for now. We're going to let this play out. I like this backtest at the 0.5 fib on the Dow at this time. I would love to see a little bit of bounce and relief because this is starting to get a little oversold. It's very dramatic, but structurally, we're looking fine. That's just to calm any nerves out there of people that think like it's the end of the world and we've topped out already and it's over. Remember, I was very adamant with Bitcoin when we were getting up into this time frame over here. We were seeing the 12-hour RSI approach 95, and then we started to plant a bearish divergence. I was telling people to not expect Bitcoin to just continue blasting up from here. It needs to cool off, and that is exactly how it played out. And thus far, the entire past 2 to 3 months have been playing out beautifully according to how we were anticipating it. This moment we're waiting for now is us to break this 25,000 level on Bitcoin and see what the next move is. And to identify the top of the automatic rally is not easy. You know, in some instances, we can get up to the 888 fib. I don't think we're going to do that with Bitcoin, but it's possible with altcoins, especially really low market cap speculative coins. So consider that at least getting above the 0.5 fib into the bottom of the golden pocket somewhere around $40,000 Bitcoin is in the cards for the next big dramatic move up. Now, let's get to the monthly close. I think that's pretty important. I'm going to remove all this mess so you guys can see clearly what's happening here with some of our indicators. First and foremost, our monthly close does look like a doji candle, but what's more important than the monthly is the bi-monthly close, and that was coming in right there. It's this green candle, and it's structurally looking awesome. It's getting us back into this big red, as well as breaking highs of the last 3 bi-monthly closures. So this is 2-month candles, guys. This is not a small time frame by any means. Now, this is definitely looking more like this right here. If we go back to the prior cycle, we have our selling climax, buying climax, automatic rally. Here we're identifying buying climax, this was your buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, buying climax, selling climax, and in your bottoming phase, this candle right here is very akin to this candle right here. The next one is this big boy. And I don't know if we're going to repeat a 100% gain, but it's definitely possible. If we were to go off of open and look at about 100% up from here, we're looking at about $46,000 Bitcoin. And I made a joke a couple weeks ago saying how hilarious it would be if Bitcoin went to 48,000 in April because of Bitcoin's Satoshi Nakamoto's 48th birthday. Of course, Satoshi is just a mythology. It's make-believe, but it's more of a mythological story they're sharing with you. That's what the elites do. Getting back to this from a technical perspective, we know it's possible for Bitcoin to gain 100% in 2 months. It's nothing for Bitcoin. So it would just be funny if we do get up into that territory. It's historically happened before. And when people say that this doesn't repeat, they're absolutely wrong, because we can see from buying climax to selling climax was 1 year, from buying climax right here to selling climax 1 year. It was exactly the same, hitting an all-time high in Q4, hitting an all-time high in Q4. You can't make this up. This is just a cyclical repeating pattern, and Bitcoin is much more predictable than pretty much any other asset class out there because it's on the blockchain. It has that predictability, and that's why I pay most attention to it, because when Bitcoin is at top, everything else is. When Bitcoin has a big pullback, everything else loses a substantial amount. So now we're at that turning point, that pivot, bottoming, and automatic rally is next. So I'm considering looking at this prior iteration for evidence of what we could be anticipating, at least 40K to somewhere in the mid 40K region. Now, looking at the weekly close, things are just basically holding right now. We've made it up to a resistance, and 25K is a very important resistance for us to break. So ideally, I would like to see Bitcoin approaching the next weekly close somewhere above. Well, it might not happen next week because we have the full moon, but if we start seeing 26K, 27K, that would be a quick move to 30. I think once Bitcoin starts to approach 5-day candles, maybe even 3-day candles above the structural highs, we're going to start seeing 30K really quickly. That's what Bitcoin likes to do. It has a dramatic move down, equally dramatic move up. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember this pivot right here between January into February. It was like a straight line breakout. Bitcoin essentially in 1 month went up 45%, straight line, barely paused. Now it needs to pause. RSI needs to reset. If you look at the daily RSI sitting right there around 54, it is flatlining now. So we're kind of in make or break territory, and this is a good time to get ready for the next leg up. Let's look at some of our indicators here on the daily. We have a very important cross of the 55 above the 200. I like what I see. And getting rejected on the 8. So any closures above the 8 simple moving average would identify continuation to the upside. 2-day looking fine, but you can see definitely those 200s, 200 simple, 200 exponential are going to be a little bit of trouble for us, but that's in perfect alignment with what we're getting on the weekly chart. So you can see this is the most important chart right now. We have the 200 exponential, 200 simple, and 55 simple all coiling up right there at 25,500. So like I said earlier, if we're going to start closing macro candle closures above this, 30K is going to be quick. It's going to be a quick swipe. As of now, that's your key resistance point. And for the weekly structure, I would assume this 8 simple moving average on the weekly will hold for now. You could also look at the daily Bollinger Bands if you'd like. Let me turn this off. And you could see the daily Bollinger Band, the bottom band's coming in around 21,400, which is slightly above the structural lows in the micro. I don't think Bitcoin will be coming back down there during this full moon. We do want to pay more emphasis towards the quarter moons. So we made it through the first quarter moon. I think that is lower usually than what lately would be our full moons. So back in the Shemitah year of 2021 into 2022, the full moon and the new moon specifically within like a 3-day window was much more accurate. Now, since we're moving towards a solar cycle, we're no longer in lunar cycle. Since we're moving towards this solar cycle, I'm feeling like these first quarter moons might be the most bearish part of the micro cycle. I should make a full-blown tutorial video on this. I'm really struggling with time. I'm doing my best. But let's get over to ETH. Quick note on Bitcoin. We have daily close high about 24,800. So like I said, let's look for the 25,200, 25,300. Any daily closures above that, sky's the limit. And then at the bottom, we have potential bottom side band coming in 21.4, not as likely, and a key support around 22,700. So 22,700 is important on the downside. Closing dailies below that, we could definitely swipe down to 21.5. Let's get to ETH and wrap up this video with XRP. All right, not much to say here. We are just sideways holding pretty well. Let me turn off these indicators, go to the bi-monthly. Bi-monthly, same story. We're looking at about, almost a year now of holding the high at 1,800. So 1,800 high is really a struggle for ETH. I would say any closures above 1,800 on the 3-day, 5-day, we'd probably start moving up. And 2,000 would be your next price target. But for now, we're looking pretty good. I think ETH has been performing better than Bitcoin regarding the overall sell-off. And it did better performance regarding overall moves. If I was to take off this pivot right here, we're looking at about 3,600. If we're looking at Biddy, it's about, take off the same level. Yeah, less than 1,000. Well, pretty much almost 1,000%. So the sell-off on ETH was actually much more impressive. It held 81% losses, whilst Bitcoin was a total of, okay, pretty similar, pretty damn similar, but that is so much better than last cycle. We got about a 79% sell-off on Bitcoin and 81% sell-off on ETH. The last cycle back in 2018 into 2019, Ethereum lost 95%, whilst Bitcoin only lost about 83, 84. So ETH is maturing. It's really looking good too. Even structurally, we never went lower compared to the June lows. We held higher lows, whilst Bitcoin actually did take a leg lower into that eclipse. Why? Because Bitcoin is directly tied to the sun and moon, which has that connection with the lunar eclipse, and that was that next leg lower. Whilst ETH is the ether. Ether is the upper air that the gods breathe in mythology. Different energy. You got to pay attention to these nuances. So this is why the mythology is a game changer for people. Getting back to this, structurally, we're just chugging along. I think 1,800 is a key level. I would like to see 2-day, 3-day closures above that level, 1,800. Now on the downside, if we can't hold 15, I would say 15 flat, 1,500. A swipe down to 1,350 is possible, but way less likely right now, given the situation. We're getting really close to this solar eclipse, which is a much more bullish energy. Okay, now we have XRP, kind of a similar story, underperforming though, comparatively to a lot of other altcoins, kind of chugging along here. Same story as ETH, holding 37, and then we got about 42 on the upside. I think right now there's not much to say besides what I shared in my last video. It's the same TA, pretty much repeat. I would like to tell people though that we got a couple pivots to consider. We do have this chart right here, which I've been showing people. It's a triangle forming, coming back at lows on the beginning of this year. We got a back test at the middle of last month, and then lately we've just been riding this bottom support line, and this is getting very close to the apex of the pattern. So keep this in mind, guys. We might be in the midst of a breakout, and it's hard to do measured moves on this kind of stuff, especially with XRP. It's a very volatile asset class, but let me just show you what I'm talking about here. I would take a conservative move from here to about this bottom. And if we were to plant it up at where we would assume the apex is, it's somewhere around 45 cents, which is not that impressive. So again, no parties until we start breaking this level right here, which is 54 cents. I don't really care what XRP does between now and then. With that being said, this is a buying opportunity for XRP. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just personally investing in XRP at this time because I think it's going to hold the 36, 35 cent region and more likely heading up to $1 by May, before May eclipse on May 5th. So for me, it's a swing trade opportunity, and I think that it is definitely lucrative. Now, I do want to quickly say something about Hex. I'll be getting interviewed by or doing a podcast with Crypto Coffee. He wants to kind of review what has been happening over the past couple months. We see a very bullish reaction to the selling climax that we got back in the end of the year, and now it's up 330%. We just broke structural highs after the back test of this outside trend line, which was a prior resistance. So you have here rejection, rejection, rejection. Then we broke through it. And right a couple of days ago, we back tested the trend line and made a new high as of today. So this looks like a bounce and continuation. This looks like the automatic rally is coming to its finality very soon. That could be anywhere into the 618 up to the 702. And this is a very, very key level to keep in mind. Or at 20 to 21 cents for Hex would be a really solid opportunity to de-risk. Now, that would be an incredible play off that bounce. That's about a 10,000% gain after having a 97% sell-off. So keep this in mind for the Hex community. You guys are in the process of this automatic rally, which I called out probably a year ago now. That's how this market works. We have a buying climax after these parabolic breakouts. Then we have a dramatic oversold reaction to that called a selling climax. Then off of this bear trap or dramatic sell-off, we have an automatic rally. It's exactly what I shared with Crypto Coffee on our first interview, what to expect. And this coin is no different than everything else. I'm not talking about tokenomics and the project and who's behind it. I'm talking about the price action, which is what most people care about anyways. Can I make money from this, or is this a bad investment opportunity? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to share the analysis, not pick sides, not say that this is a good project or a bad project. I could really care less. Because the way I look at it is I'm a trader. I'm here to take advantage of the price action. I'm not here to join a cult. So that's just the way the wolf pack is. That is the way that we become sophisticated investors. So we're going to be getting into this more from an analytical perspective when I connect with him this Friday. I'm definitely looking forward to that interview. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis on everything that we've covered regarding the traditional markets as well as Bitcoin, what to expect over the next couple weeks. We do have this full moon right around the corner, but as I mentioned, we have that first quarter moon that we pivoted out of a couple days ago. That was our technical lows. We're holding structure right now, and by March 14th and 15th, which were the key dates in my decode today, I do suspect a pivot bullish into this new moon or the vernal equinox. And that's what my next video will be on. I also want to say I appreciate and I'm grateful for everyone who's joined Patreon. Your support means everything to me. Definitely enjoy Red Pill Podcast 100. It was an amazing episode. I had a great time doing it. It was longer than usual episodes, so definitely check it out. Leave a comment in it, and I'm looking forward to the next podcast. Much love.